So my other video got interrupted, but I'm gonna continue. I'll just put them together. But what I was saying is there are other people that are, again, of different shades that, you know, whether they have money or not, there you still see the effects of how things are happening or are happening to people. And that's what also people who are closed off mentally, emotionally, and when you see okay, I knew that was that, but that was again something that again, that no matter your shade and color, on a deeper aspect, people experience things. It's just not what has been portrayed through the corruption of media and so forth. Like when you're trying to create certain propaganda or create certain things allegedly that keeps not even just it, like the facts of how things are implemented to keep certain people, to make it seem like they are evil, they are less valuable and so forth. And then you go in certain neighborhoods where it's the complete opposite. Like I was telling someone at a point in time, I'm gonna get back into that story with the elder, but I was telling someone at a point in time, like, bro, I grew up in the South where you knew the people who lived on the street. Now, like, and then again, the most in the US, you know, the most melanated or darker shaded people are people in the South, like in like the Georgia and the South Carolina and North Carolina, because a lot of people migrated there, also migrated in other places. So like so with that, you know, me having to live in a place at that time, Ohio, I was like, bro, I've never seen this many people who don't look like me consistently. Like, I didn't even know that people, you know, from what's been portrayed from the media, you know, psychological warfare. You know, from a child perspective, I assumed that all people that are lighter shade were well off, that were rich, that were happy. You know, I was talking about, I'll upload a video when I was talking about in the previous video, like when you watch certain shows, even how the media is pushed on how, you know, certain people, you know, even before I met like the mother of my children, like, bro, I just assumed that all of them just came from, you know, all great things. And what's so wild about it is like you would never think that people, you know, other people that don't look like you and their family have drug addicts or people who are going through substance abuse or going through pretty much everything anybody and everybody's going through. So that was one thing, like, again, like that was even shocking, to where what it does, it brings more insight. It brings more awareness through experience that a lot of our elders never had. You know, when I look at some of those elders, like the elder that I was speaking to, you know, I was expressing to someone, I'm like, people are forgetting these are the same elders who pretend that they haven't went through or experienced, and I'm just putting things out there, like systematic racism that was structured for people to progress. Where certain people of when it came to farming and, you know, how things were, you know, removed and things wasn't, you know, resources wasn't given, loans, or, you know, just basically certain things just not was acceptable or you know, given to people for them to progress. And so I've noticed, like, when I was talking to the elder, you know, all she was expressing, like, she could talk about, it's like, it's almost like she couldn't get past of what really happened and has happened. And for some of them, they don't want to. I've been expressing to y'all, like, their world in their mind's eye, in their reality, isn't the same as mine. But I realized that my heart, like, due to the fact of what I've experienced and what I've encountered, again, experience is a great teacher. When you are a student of life, experience will like guide you and bring you to places within this world will bring you to so much of a place of peace and serenity and harmony, because experience is such an amazing teacher. It's one of the greatest teachers if you remain a student in life. What has happened with a lot of elders is that they always wanted to be the teacher. What does that mean? They've always wanted to tell people, teach them, this is what you're supposed to do in life. This. Leadership, all of it. They always want to teach and teach, but they never wanted to balance or remain a student. Meaning learning, being open to others' beliefs without judgment, without criticism. Being open to receive insight. Being open to emphasizing with people who don't look like you. Being open and connecting with people who maybe don't come from the same background, nationality, financial, stuff, things and such. The same foundation. And what they've done, they created communities, structures, and so forth on that. And as it collapsed, it returns to what that was, to rebuild it on things that involve and have core values that are more sustainable, that build longevity, things that are built upon truth and authenticity, things you don't have to question. They don't realize that they have lived a life that they've deceived themselves. So it's like a child that has lived a life of, again, these traditions that y'all see. All these things, it's created a tradition of false empowerment, of illusions, not actuality, fantasy. They created fantasy and then try to create fantasy for us. And then we realize our reality and actuality is not, no. So as their illusions dissolve, as they realize how deceptive, manipulative, corrupted they have been in spirit and in flesh, then they begin to realize like their inner childs have been affected. The essence of who they are have been corrupted. They start to realize that they've been the virus. They've been causing the disease. And whether they want to accept it or not, the very thing that they ignore will fight to be acknowledged. That's why I saw a video how the sister was talking about how you've seen a lot of people. She works in hospice and even in the hospital, a lot of these things. Do y'all not realize what's going on? The very energy and the very thing that people put out, as it collapses, the energy is playing out the same way. She says she noticed how a lot of people are receiving their karma for when they lived a life. When you talk about fast life, or you went out there, you had the luxury of having all these things accessible to you, but you forgot about your fucking children. You forgot about your inner child. And so forgetting about what really is valuable, what really is sustainable, such as family, tribe, things that, really connects us on a deeper emotional, mental, spiritual level. You've forgotten about it. So now she said in those hospice, in those places, because don't let me get into what the word hospice and all these other things represent in etymology. And like y'all realize like these are things that really don't have life to it. It doesn't, like the meaning behind a lot of these things literally represented corporations, death, symbolism. But only the beauty of it is that even through the hidden meaning behind it, it was only death brings forth life. This is the rebirth. So a lot of these elders, like we are being reborn from their experiences. Our children, even through what we haven't learned or still learning, even through the fact of what we were programmed and consumed by, and now that we're trying to purge from, they will be too reborn through that. That's the beauty of evolution. So again, when she was talking about the hospice thing, she mentioned how karma, like how a lot of these people, you know what I'm saying? How a lot of these people elders, and I tell you about the homes and stuff, is that a lot of these people they didn't have empathy. They didn't have, like, again, this warlike consciousness. Even right now, some of them, it's by them not having the connection to themselves. It's them versus everybody. And see, this is what's collapsing the systematic everything. Is because think about what racism actually is, or sexism, all these different things that separate people. It's rooted in an imbalance of self-righteous rather than empathy, rather than connecting to others, automatically dividing yourself amongst people, self-hatred, carrying hatred for self or whatever it is, not facing things will only divide you amongst other people. You won't feel a part. You will want to depart, but you won't feel apart. You don't feel together. You don't feel that oneness or connection. So again, she was saying how a lot of them did not raise their children or grow their children, in a sufficient way, in a self-sufficient way, in a loving way, and so forth. And what has happened is that their karma is that now they'll wait till they're literally dying or leaving this world and want to confess whatever, for some of y'all call it the S word, sins or whatever, but basically confess, or these unresolved things within them, they want to acknowledge. They'll wait till they go to what they call their deathbed. They'll wait till their transition. For some they won't, for some they will. Even deeper into, like, when you think about psychosis, dementia, and all this other stuff, a lot of people don't realize that as the world shifts, when you get into holistic medicine, holistic. When you get into just holistic, because some people put medicine behind it. No, it's not the same, because, Elder told me it's not the same, because you're dealing with one that, again, represents a balance of wholeness, not the other one's simply temporary. But again, to each their own, because some people, you have to go through transition. You have to go through the old way of things to create the new. But again, like I said, they'll wait till they get to this place and want to say all these things and do all these things and so forth. And again, I was getting into the dimension and all this other stuff. Again, people you don't have to agree, you don't have to accept whatever it is I share. When you have dealt with a world or an environment that has, again, forgotten about the importance of the feminine archetype, the emotion, the nurturing, the inner world aspect of what creates us, then you will notice how the world at a time that is falling away, is crumbling, is dissolving, has only built temporary fixes, has only created things temporarily. That's why you see a lot of people can collect so many things, can have all the money, but be spiritually rotten, be spiritually poor, emotionally empty, imbalanced, unstable, have no sense of peace. And so that's what you're seeing play out. That's why a lot of these elders that are shifting and leaving, they are energetic resonance of what was created for them in their world. That was at a time their evolution, only for us now to evolve. So again, when the sister was talking about the hospice thing, she said you got some of those elders sitting there, and due to the fact that them never really, I'm going to say for me, it's like being in tune or never coming back home to self and just doing their own thing. Now you have a lot of karma playing out for them, is that the energy will return where they're alone. They're alone physically. And those who are in tune know that you're never alone. Those who are in tune with who they are know that you are never alone in this, in whatever you're creating. Because that's what is the oneness that has been forgotten, or that feminine attribute, that divine mother energy, is that of a deeper soul aspect of what connects us all. What connects us all through the cycle of life, incarnation, everything. That's what connects us all. Ancestrally, generationally, and so forth. And again, it's a choice to evolve past the learned behavior patterns. Like look at what people have went through. Look at what people have, that's why a lot of people are going away. This no contact thing is because that's karma playing out. You're having to dive and show up for yourself, and as bothersome it may be for other people, it's the same energy that was uncomfortable when you chose not to be there for your children, or when you chose not to show up for yourself. It's just an evolution. It's not going to make sense to people. It doesn't mean that you have to know. So for some people, you don't know the depths of why they choose not to ever talk to people again. That's not your advice. That's not your lesson. That's none of your business. For other people, the letting go has to do with it. It's an inward thing. And this is where a lot of elders' unhealthy attachment comes in, where the overprotectiveness, for some, keeping them, closed in, can only lead to a life where a lot of people want to liberate themselves from that shit. They want to live a life. Not in their same hometowns, not even in their country, not, even religious. A lot of people have been closed off by certain religions. They've been, bombarded with things very young. In their essence and their spirits, to the depth of them, their self-expression is here to evolve past that shit. It's nothing you can do about that. That's your higher calling. That's your purpose knocking. And it's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because there's probably energetic blocks. There's things that, you're wanting and calling to do differently. And then standing in your authenticity and calling back your power and taking full authority over your life. That shatters the illusions that people have tried to cast on your life. That shatters the idea of who you're supposed to be from their perspective, from their lens, whether there's a wounded lens, whether there's an ego and so forth. Yes. And guess what? Your then uncomfortability becomes challenges that you learn to just embrace. Those challenges becomes parts of yourself that you look forward to. You become excited for. Because then you start to realize that those other people were never excited. They just performed their whole fucking life. They performed most of their life. And you don't have to perform anymore. Because performance is connected to people pleasing. In those churches, those were performances. I seen it. From my experience, people were performing for whatever God that they believed in. They were performing. It's like performing for a father. This shit is deep. Performing for a father that you've never seen. And I know this can be very triggering or uproar and religious thing. It's because, again, I find that to be something that where people don't know how to emphasize and look within, they try to seek validation. And so church became a place of validation, seeking validation. I've seen people try to perform and they seek validation from the pastor, from the people in there. They were seeking validation and acceptance. Who can read better? Do you not realize, this shit brings up something when I say performance, to where there was even people who couldn't even read, especially in indigenous churches, darker places. And y'all don't realize how far we come. It pisses me off. This is righteous anger. Do you not realize, I told you, I researched this where I'm from, They keep everything documented. It's data. It's like a fucking computer. People, Gullah Geechee people came from other countries and surrounding places. We built buildings to bring forth other people of other dialects who did not understand and overstand, who did not speak the same language. This has always happened, and this is still happening, just like someone migrates from another country and learns the language, whatever the predominant language or the language there, what y'all call English, which even people from England would say this is not even English. It's not English. It consists of Latin. It consists of so many different dialects. That's why some of us can channel our ancestors and can speak so many different dialects. That shit is naturally in us. This is where your acting comes from. People can naturally perform. But the only way is that this is like pay attention. Acting, the world stage. Ancestrally, we embody. That's why I know how to change my voice so many different ways. So many different ways. That shit run through my veins. See, due to your boxed in shit and all this other stuff, they want you to speak this, go to school for this, all the indoctrination and so many different things will only prepare you, because spirit will connect you to all things. The beauty of things, the self-expression of the beauty, the power of a child's imagination. Again, buildings that were created to school ourselves, to learn each other. How can we live amongst each other? The fake ass illusions of those wars. The wars that was inward first. And a lot of people, especially indigenous, different tribes, the reason why a lot of people don't get along, because ancestrally and generationally, they're still holding whatever resentment from betrayals from other chiefs and chiefess or whatever people in their tribe, because y'all still on the same land of the same blood that was shared, of the same betrayals, of the same treaties, of the same shit that people signed, that y'all want to make it seem like it was people of lighter shade. No, within yourself, there were certain people ancestrally. And you wonder why you're connecting to these people. It's because whatever's unresolved for some, whatever past life or other lifetimes, whatever unresolved, because let's make this clear. When people speak on past life, it means the life before you. Or other lifetimes, meaning that that's ancestral. How the fuck are you going to just forget about and throw away the people that came before us? The lives that happened before us. I can say, oh, no, the life of my grandmother, even though she transitioned, like, it's in the past, but it's still a part of life. She went through things. Y'all want people to forget about their spiritual culture so much, or their what connects them to land and so forth. Man, the powers that be did a number on all of us. The powers that used to be, the powers that ain't no more. The same powers that ain't and used to be is the same thing that empowers us. It should empower you that people thought that they could deceive your ass. That's empowering. That was magnificent. Great performance. That's how I look at these characters and people. Great performance. Bravo, bravo. Now evolution, now people who are evolving into leadership, new things on the rise. These people couldn't hold on to the old world if they wanted to. Let them hold on. It's like holding on to a rope. Tug of war. They want you to believe that the tug of war, you know how you push, pull, and all that? They want you to believe in your mind and convince you that, bro, I've already pulled. It's already done, bro. It's done. And for some people, this is a great analogy. Even with the tug of war, let go of the fucking rope. Man, it's so funny. We done tug of war in school, bro. And you go up there. And again, I'm just giving out an analogy to make you think about like the beauty of life. You can go up there with people who on a surface level look more stronger. But then you go up there, you got the power in your veins, you got the ancestors, you got the spirits running through you, boy, that you honor. You go up there with the confidence. You may not be the tallest, you may not be the bulkiest, you may not have been the most athletic or whatever it is, but you go up there, but you got the people, and you know, some of the people know that, see, strategy, persistence. So you go up there, whole time you go up there, they got all them people. But this is where they fuck up at. Because people that know play tug of war know you put the most like strongest or athletic person towards the back. See, they went up there, they want to put the big dudes in the front. Whole time, you still got people who are confident in their abilities to know that we already won in our mind. The war's already won. We already got this. Now I'm gonna give y'all different analogies. So you go up there with that confidence, then you got some of the person, you're like, oh, you know what? Put such and such in the back. It's because we're gonna let them burn themselves out. We're gonna let them burn themselves out. And then, you just there. Then you got them using all their energy. They may not be in the best shape. They may be the biggest, but they may not be in the best shape. See, they don't pack on all these pounds and muscles and stuff, but they don't have the endurance like you do. They don't have the resilience. So whole time, they push and pull. They're making all this noise. Because people that know how important the breath is. Like how, as you screaming and stuff, you burning yourself out. You wasting more energy. So then you start to realize, like, boom, here they is. Like, you notice how the rope's starting to gradually come your way. Oh, snap. Because this is that unbelievable story. They ain't believe, like, oh, you can, what? Everybody's like, what? And all of a sudden, the people who were looking to, the audience who was looking to the people who were big are like, oh, in their mind, on the surface level, they look more stronger. They're performing more stronger. They look superficial on the surface. But now y'all got something within y'all that y'all just like, oh yeah, I got. Next thing you know, now the rope is leaning this way. Now the person at the back, we like, okay, pull. Like, that person at the back, like, yeah, now it's leaning. Now all of a sudden, boom. You don't pull. Now you won. But not only that, you don't pull all them dudes forward. They're in disbelief. Now this brings out their emotions. Because on paper, it looks like, God, they got it all together. So this for some of y'all. On paper, they got all these degrees. On paper, they got all these accolades. They got all these things on surface level, superficial level. But what they didn't have is what you have. The resilience, the inner strength, the knowingness that even though that it may look like they were going to win. And notice even the audience at a time, again, they looked at people. This is how the world is right now, or what it was. They were looking towards all those people. Man, you see what a lot of people don't realize, that a lot of that tug and war, that generation, that tug of war you're in is with not the powers that not only just the powers that used to be, but the warfare of things that don't belong to you. That you have to carry, but it doesn't belong to you. It's like another analogy, I'll be getting so much thing. It's like baggage claim. This got your name on it. This got your name, and you've been lost. This got your name on it, though. But no, you've been carrying everybody else stuff. But this got your name on it. Now you at the airport now you got your luggage now. Now you get to leave. And for some of you, you get to leave alone. You get to leave with a sense of, this confidence, surety. You get to leave with you again, not with everybody else. You get to leave with what your claim, your baggage claim. Think about it. Another analogy. The airport, notice how airports, clear airport, what is the ports, that ship in things. Ports, airport. Now you get to fly away. But notice that for some of y'all, your life has been like an airport. You made it into the airport, but look at all the delays. Look at all the things people try to put in your way. Even sometimes you've been in your own way. See, you could never catch your flight because you were catching feelings. You were catching everybody else's feelings and emotional baggage. And didn't even realize, like, you do know that there's a capacity on planes, right? You do know that, right? Oh my God, I love this. I love that I am a vessel for this shit. You do know that there's flights that has a capacity. Now let me get a little down. Let me down a little more. Let me down a little more. Now, life will have you go through an experience where you can fly with others. You can fly. It's funny. I love how the names are like Frontier. You can fly. You can fly Spirit. You can fly whatever you want to go. You can fly whatever. And then for those who know that there's different experiences when you're flying on certain airlines. There's a luxury. There's a worthiness. There's value. You have to feel worthy. Sometimes you can fly. Some people fly Spirit, to each their own. Some people fly, private. I'm getting there. Follow this analogy now. Now, before I dive into this, let me finish up that tug of war. See, I'll be, ooh, hold on. I need some more. Listen, see, that tug of war sometimes can be between you and you're at tug of war with yourself. Sometimes it can be tug of war with your mother and father, the generations before you. See, the other analogy of the tug of war could be the fact that sometimes you have to pay attention. Some of y'all are distracted by the audience who are looking to support the ones who on paper look like they're stronger. That was the old world. You're in tug of war with the old world, the old narrative, others' belief systems, the world, societal norms, and so forth. And then not only that opposition of that tug of war sometimes calls for you to surrender. Let go of the rope. Sometimes you got to let people win or let them believe that they won. Sometimes some battles in that tug of war is a representation of surrenderance and allowing the Most High to just be like, you know what, this rope is hurting my hand. You ever try to hold on so long to a rope that you get burns or you get blisters? And some people hold on to so long to where sometimes you're at opposition with people who all they know is winning. All they know is they want to win in life, which for some could be very narcissistic, controlling, manipulative. They only want to win. You're dealing with systems or structures that have just been focused on winning at all costs, stepping on other people, sacrificing whatever they can to win. Matriarchal systems that have enabled it. By all means, I'm going to win regardless. So again, that analogy from the tug of war can look completely different from a lot of people. I gotta win. I gotta do this. Not find peace. Not reassure yourself. Not be self-sufficient. Because some of those things are just teaching you self-sufficient. Some of those things are teaching you to approach it differently. Sometimes some of those tug of war can show you that your team or who's supporting you ain't even pulling the load that you're pulling. You using all your strength during the tug of war. You got some people in the back. You know, I seen this shit happen in elementary school, like tug of war. You got some people like, you know, you going in there with confidence. You got some people that don't even care. And that's okay. You got some people that going in there like, that never even touched the rope. You know, some of them girls that go in there, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get dirty. I don't want to da. And see, there's the ones you got to be careful. I don't want to get dirty. You see, life, experience, will have your ass going through the mud. For some, experience will have you going through things where you have to adapt. Life will have you going through things where you have to adapt. This is the lightest I've ever been most of my life. This is the lightest I've ever been most consistently of my life. Because of life put me, you know, the divine, you know, put me in a place where it's not just the uncomfortability. It's more so like, I want you to go through the parts where you have to learn to hate, love. You might not like the weather. You might hate it. But you have to love yourself through the fact of what can you do? How can you adjust? How can you adapt? How can you adapt to the environment? How can you make the best out of it? And see, when you're dealing with people from all walks of life, and it's just the natural order of things, but when you're dealing with a society that haven't went through your experience, then where we fuck up at is that we're expecting ourselves. We're expecting people. We're expecting our love that we've been given. We're expecting these people or anyone to emphasize. The issue, the underlining of it all is that we have been expecting us, or I, like, for me personally, like when I say me, to even expect me from other people. Knowing that my experience that has shaped me and molded me and continue to, you know, reinvent me or recreate, whatever it is, isn't like anyone else. That's what makes me unique. That's what makes my smile. That's what makes my hair. That's what makes my self-expression, my essence, who it is. That's what makes me a vibe. I'm my own vibe. So again, some of us haven't been aligned with, or haven't aligned ourselves or aligned with people in our life to realize that this tug of war that we've been in sometimes can be with ourselves. Sometimes it can be a tug of war of systematic racism or structures or corporations or family. You know, that tug of war between, do I keep pulling, burning myself out, become tired, overextend myself? That's what burning yourself out when you're trying to tug a war between people, trying to make them care in relationships, trying to make people see you, and so forth. And that tug of war thing, yeah, it can look different perspectives. So again, sometimes that team isn't people that they're not for you. Sometimes that relationship, you can have kids by someone, that's fine. Just to show you that you can outgrow people. Just to show you that that's okay. Just to show you also that that tug of war you've been in is that you just sometimes have to go in different directions. Sometimes that opposition is for you to learn to be on the same fucking team. Sometimes in you not always trying to win that battle, that argument, that exchange, is to simply just change the trajectory, change the approach, change the pattern. In that tug of war, it's almost like you're breaking a generational chain of pattern, a learned behavior pattern. Always having to have this, I gotta have this mindset by all means necessary, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to get it. That's what you have seen through what has trickled down from certain leadership, even so to performance. Performance in culture, music, game code, all this shit, bro, is performance. Who could, like, think about a lot of stuff. Who can unalive the most people? That's why I couldn't be a part of stuff. Who can have the most wins? Sports. Then you have kids growing up making these comparisons, having these, again, comparison is the thief of joy. Children don't even, like, some of these kids now into adults. And even now you see the joy is still there, the light is still there in people. They just been in a tug of war between performing, people pleasing, seeking validation, seeking external security through whatever it is, without learning how to even get to know who they are through the experience. See, that tug of war taught me to realize, like, this ain't even my battle. Sometimes I had to let the rope go. Sometimes you just got to let people realize, like, you let the rope go and you see them cheer just to see their actions and how they perform or how they act when they win. Do they include everybody? When they win, is it all about them? Do they boast about their winnings? Performance. Look at society. They got to show everything that they won. They got to show everybody how they look. They just gotta show everybody everything. And one thing I've learned about the feminine archetype, it is secretive. There's a mysticism to it. There is if you can say for some, a gatekeeping aspect to it. Because of the abuse of power. There has to be a beauty in, because what that is, that's protection. Because, see, if the world has got caught up in performance and then they convince our women to feel like they have to, let me show you the disposition, or, you know, what has happened. It's like, I just saw an interview of someone and I was like, wow, somebody asked her, like, what does such and such bring to the table? Something, and it was this person that just represented some type of television show, whatever. And it was just like, wow. You can really see the layers of people. Like, when you met yourself deeper, you can just see, like, whoa, the wounded masculinity displayed, the performance. Like, you can really see the dysfunction. You can see the disconnect. Like, to convince other women, as she was saying, that she pays all this, she does all this. And it's like they literally convince some women to perform just as some would say a man would. And what is displaying is, like, we all have feminine and masculine attributes, but it just shows the wounded part, the distorted part of even women believing that they have to go out there and perform as this false empowerment of what the patriarchal is telling you have to do just to survive, just to get by. And the reason why this is being so much exposed, and it's almost like public humiliation, and it's like for public display, is because the energy has to show people, like, this is the women that represent you collectively. This is what you have enabled. And it's important to see, because we have to ask ourselves, is this what we want to continue? And all she was talking about is, like, how she could, you know, how whoever represented her, the women that was with her, whatever she was doing, how they do everything, how they pay for this and da. And it's basically saying, like, I can do all these things superficially. I can show up all these things, but deep down, what I'm really saying is I have no empathy. It's there, but I have no sympathy for others. Like I'm only teaching people this way of life, and there's no, you can just see the disconnect from having not to prove. Because one thing about the feminine archetype, the depths of it, it doesn't have to prove shit. Those women who know, who are in such energy, or people who don't even subscribe to gender, those who are in tune know that the ego wants to be seen so much. The ego has to validate itself. And it's a balance, but it's like, because it's this human experience, but the feminine aspect of things, the feminine flow, is like, meaning that you don't know all the emotions I go through. That's the mysticism to life. You don't know everything. Experience is wisdom. So this is where you have to be cautious and discerning in these moments where you have people who come along and even flaunt or all boast their ego through what they have. It's a performance. It's almost like whatever spirit that they're battling with, whatever emptiness internally, it's like it's a performance. And that's how I've noticed, again, this is my perspective, my opinion of what the world through the false, what the luxury of what people have obtained through materialism, a lot of things, is that they have to show everybody that they got it. And what this does is like, it's from a place of ego. It's from a place of trying to belittle or devalue others who don't. And you can see a lot of people that have, I see it all the time. I'm like, you're, how could I say this? It's like a form of like, even how people, like the world wants us to know who's a billionaire, who's this, who has all this and all like that. I look at that as an abuse of power and the financial abuse. Because if you want to let people know, or you want this and that to show, it's like, well, when you look at the feminine archetype of the monetary system that was never created for that specific purpose, this is why you see a depreciating and a going away from what the U.S. coin and dollar system is because the abuse of power. Because it was never intended for that. Indigenous people knew that, they honor the feminine archetypes. They honor the feminine energy that structure things in the masculine aspect, in the physical form. And they knew that it was an abundance of everything. So the abuse of power has come through the monetary system, the structures. All of that energy reflects that. And so you see, again, men who represent the patriarchal aspect, I don't care what color they are, creed and so forth, they represent the same energy. How they display, how they portray. It's like little boys. How they want to lure women in with their material things. How they want to come off or, portray this false sense of masculinity, which is rooted in their undeveloped aspect of emotional intelligence, or which is literally emotional intelligence is wealth. It's frequency. Because emotional intelligence, it will have you emphasizing with other people, beings, or, children. Now, a man that women and men who just, want to boast about what they have. How? And then even those who, again, the world wants to give you to people that show that they're doing things for other people. That's performance. You have to show the world that you're doing this for other people. You have to. Why? For likes, for views, for monetary purposes? You have to do that? Why? And again, some people, whether they know it or not, at some point in time, I feel like in your life, depending on where you are, you have to know the intentions of what you're doing. And even if you don't, whether unintentionally or not, it's going to reveal itself. The energy is always going to come up and out and expose itself. The fruit is always going to reveal itself. So whatever seeds you're planted, whatever soil you created it on, and so forth, it's going to reveal itself. that performance. So again, going back to this beautiful analogy of the airport, let's get into that. I know some people was waiting. I want to hit the airport. I want to hit the airport. Anywho, some of us, it's wild because I'm gonna tell y'all like how generationally I broken chains and shit. My grandmother has never taken a flight in her life. This just shows y'all how like fear. You know what? Let me get back to what I was saying. Fear. That's a good spot right here. Got a little lighting thing. Ooh, sheesh. Fear. Oh, okay. I had to keep saying the word fear. So when I was talking about fear, I was talking about. Hold on, I gotta fix my pants. Let me show you how like naturally you could be breaking chains and sometimes you don't even know unconsciously. But then when you become more aware, you realize like, wow, I am literally breaking down barriers or literally living out something that whether ancestrally wasn't possible for some, but now that it was impossible, well, the word impossible is impossible, meaning that for some, they're in disbelief, like it's not possible for them. It's again, the unbelievable story. So, let me show you like how dangerous fear can be. I don't even like, it's not even the fact of like, I know human beings and people can be dangerous. But once I break, like literally give you all this right here, like why a lot of them or what they've lived in is why they can be dangerous. Boy, this lighting is. Where do I need to put it right here? Why they can be dangerous is because, for one, fear has done a number on so many people. Fear has done a number on, oh my gosh, so many people. And fear is one of the greatest things that you can overcome, even in your lineage, even in your experiences. Because for one, my grandmother, like my mother's mom, never has taken a flight a day in her life. I'm reflecting how many years? My first ever flight was in 2016, I believe. 16, 17, like I think late 16, 17. First ever flight. My first ever flight was across the country. From North Carolina to California. First ever flight. Because I don't remember my I just know my mom, I don't even know my mom ever flew anywhere. But anywho, because a lot of people, man, this shit is so deep. A lot of people have been so consumed and drowned in fear. Like my grandmother, even she's never been to the, has she been to the, I think she's been to the beach, but she has this fear and phobia of water. And for some reason, I feel like this is so connected to like, this may like resonate for a lot of people with clarity. Like I feel like it literally has something to do with like emotional. Now she could have had some type of trauma because there's a lot of untold story where a lot of things indigenously happen to people. Like when you're talking about towns being flooded out, people having to go through the fact of racism or self-hatred, like so many things that have been so deeply embedded in their ancestry or in their subconscious to where that prevents them emotionally from progressing. And so what has happened is, I don't even think my grandma has ever been in fucking beach water. I'm not kidding. I don't even think she ever been in the ocean, bro. She's visited, but she's never been in the ocean. So I don't think y'all know the depths of the fact of what you are literally generationally, ancestrally fucking breaking like cycles. Because of what connects us ancestrally, how your grandmother and so forth, how whatever she carried in her womb, and then while your mother was in the womb and while you were egg inside of your mother, there's an emotional resonance. There is an emotional blueprint. That is a mental blueprint. That is a physical blueprint that comes out. So when I say she never took a flight, when I took my first flight, I realized like a lot of things that as I reflect, I've overcome with courage. There's a lot of things I did without money. There's a lot of things I'm still doing where I felt like at the time I had to have a lot of money. And in reality, I didn't. I just had to have the idea. I just had to have the courage. I just had to simply have the imagination. I just had to dig deep and have the love to do it. Sometimes you just have to start the shit. So for a lot of you, this airport thing is, I'm giving you this beautiful analogy of this airport. This airport is like, for some of y'all, I'm gonna give you different analogies of the airport. For some of y'all, some of you never even took a flight. And then sometimes subconsciously, a lot of the fears that you're carrying is like that of like, your life is like, you lived in a hometown but never took a flight, but yet your life is like that of like lost baggage, like what they call it, lost and found, or baggage claim, like your bag has been lost. Some of you already have, like in your spirit, you're already packed up. This is what your purpose will do. Your spirit, your purpose will have you, some may call it your higher self, your future self, whatever it is. Your purpose is already packed and prepared for South America, this Mexico, or even another state, whatever it is. It could be something like a relationship with yourself. Your purpose is already packed up. It's already sealed. It's already written. But what have you done? You have made excuses. You have allowed others' belief systems and fears to keep you from fulfilling your destiny and purpose. Your destiny is to leave that relationship. Your destiny is to walk away from that business. Your destiny is to let go of a six-figure corporation, something. Is to let go of a marriage. It's to let go of the version of you that's keeping you from experience a new version of you that your family may not be familiar with, that your partner, that your kids, that whatever you have told yourself for whatever how many years, and the reason I say this is because this is what a lot of our elders have done. Their fears, anything to keep them conform or familiar, they're familiar with their fears. You hear what I said? They're more familiar with their fears. What life has shown me is that I have to get more comfortable outside of that fear, outside of others' fear of me not being around. Because my destiny and my purpose will call me to live out that which, again, from the depths of who I am, my self-expression. That kid that when I was 5 and 6, that had the imagination of saying that I was going to speak to the nations, said that I was going to be an actor, said that I was going to be an artist, said that I was going to do these other things and so forth and so forth. And you know what keeps or have kept people bounded and constricted is their own blockage, their own fear. And fear is rooted in the lower chakra. This is why a lot of people never rise out of it. This is why a lot of people in certain communities and so forth, no matter their colors and creeds, I've said in the video where especially for when I've seen who's been a targeted audience or targeted the most in the last 50 to 100 years, indigenous people. The reason why I speak messages pertaining to them, because I'm a representation of them collectively. This is not to exclude people, but this is for exclusively for them. Being that from my experience, I experience other people of different nationality, but from my experience, I speak to them, knowing that I feel that they represent, when you look at the origins of everything, indigenous people, when you look at the signs of things coming from a darker shade and so forth, or things beginning with that, they are a representation of the root chakra. We are the only ones along other side with supportive people, but I feel from my perspective that I can only find certain solutions that other people cannot. If I haven't experienced what they've experienced, I may not know the solutions for them. I can give them insight, I can share things, but it will take them courage and persistence and whatever it is to find that said solution. That's why I feel like the greatest things that Elder said, one of the greatest things, knowledge on earth, is that a person that can find a solution to whatever they're going through, their problems. If something's not added up, this problem, that you got to remove it, and then to get a different equation or different solution to the problem. That's science. There's a science to all of this shit. So again, I look at certain people and demographics of certain people, and this is why I feel the judgment has come for even people who represent people, knowingly that certain leaders are a representation of the collective people, indigenous. And this is what has been the great deception or misconception of people who have looked towards, let's say, a figure or figures or characters that look like us for some type of solution. And in reality, the solution was never going to come through them, because they were a part of the certain problem that has been orchestrated for so long, to where certain people come along who can offer a solution that don't abuse their power, that don't gatekeep certain things and so forth, because they are a representation, and you're going to hear it here first, of the chakra, of a lower chakra. If they are a representation of certain people, certain characters that you see right now, on whatever world stage, whatever their status and so forth, they have a contribution. They have an opportunity to support in the evolution of not just indigenous people, but collectively all people in humanity. They have an opportunity to support in evolving people from that lower chakra. And when you research the chakra system of the root chakra, it's to show that they have an opportunity to speak. And in that speaking, it shatters other delusions. In that speaking, what ends up happening is that they know the impact, they know the influence, they know the effects. But again, you're dealing with people, whatever vices, whatever they're going through, they don't have empathy. So why would they emphasize with your ass, nigga? Why would they emphasize with your ass, sis? Why would they emphasize with you? Let's be honest. Because whatever they subscribe to, whatever is they're attached to and so forth, it will lead to their own, whether enlightenment, whether self-destruction. It will lead to whatever path that they come here to learn. And eventually show them that they're not bigger than the program either. So again, I tell you about karma. A lot of us are a representation of those people karmas to address these very things. The planetary shifts, the transits that are happening is, again, these people are a representation of the old world. They are a representation of what has kept the humanity from evolving, or what has kept people who particularly are an indigenous people who, again, people who could have all these things monetarily. But you don't know the backstory. You don't know the Wizard of Oz. You don't know who's fiddling behind, who's puppeteering a lot of these people, because they're performing too. So now all of that has been exposed for who they are, knowing that they, again, for some of them, they feared possibly being attacked, unalived, and so forth. Whatever it is, the dangers of that. And again, they had the opportunity to what? pour into in certain things. So they become the same corruption and virus like that of a database. Instead of updating, instead of evolving and so forth, then they go out with the old program, out with the old, in with the new. So again, I see certain characters that could have, instead of, they gatekept. Instead of supporting, I see them as a representation. And then this goes for people that you don't see behind the scenes. They also a representation of what hasn't evolved in humanity. But even more so, no matter what they've, through their keeping things away, they still collect more karma. They still collect more energy. They still will be, the hand will still be fucking exposed, no matter the color of the hand. And so with that, this what shows y'all right now what's been dismantled represents most importantly the root chakra. Because when you look at a certain people or certain people who have in certain environments who have went through, and this is the last being made first, who have went through the meek inheriting the earth, this is that last being made first, the shift in power. This is the people who have, the ones who have abused their power are now being placed almost in the same positions that other people were. That's why I kept telling y'all don't realize, like, some people hear their lineage or some people come along where they could have been cursed. And see, people don't realize the roles reverse, like Uno reverse. I gotta put that on here, Uno reverse. Of the fact of, and I ain't forgot about the airport analogy, of the fact of how in their not supporting, you can bring upon, some people may say curse, the spiritualists. Some people may call it karma. Because what I'm saying is the curse is more so the lesson, the karma, the generational curses, the patterns that you have to break. That's why people came here to do something differently. But they chose to do this, so guess what? That's the hand they dealt. That's what the fuck they gonna get back in return. That's what they gonna get back. And so for some of them, they don't realize, they think that they, in their selfishness and their self-righteousness in these moments, as Pluto and Aquarius exposes these things, the foundations of corruptedness, they think that what the harm that they've done is just going to be brushed up under the rug. No, the rug's just going to be removed, and they're going to realize like they've only placed more blood on their hands, and their hearts are corrupted and so forth. That's what's going to be exposed. And so with that now, again, you will see this play out. You will see it play out. Because the world has to see the other side of the fucking coin. It's the same coin, but you have to see the other side. See, the world don't want to see the other side of what spirituality is and how it connects things in all. Why y'all don't want to see that? Because you've been so caught up in the physical. You've been so caught up in obtaining things tangibly that you forget it's two sides to a coin. Now you flip this motherfucker, and the only thing you want to do, you want to keep the coin flipped and only see the physical. You only want to see the tangible. And don't realize what a lot of people, leadership, a lot of people fear the powers that used to be and so forth. You know what they fear? They fear the consequences of what's coming in the spirit. Because that ain't the same time they're dealing with here. It don't matter where they run. Y'all, all these conspiracies about, oh, they're running and they're hiding it. Bro, you can't outrun spirit. No one can outrun karma. No one can outrun that. We all came here to learn it. No one could outrun that. So again, for a lot of you, this airport analogy. Oh, hold on, before I get into that. Y'all gotta realize a lot what humanity is evolving from. And it begins with the origins. It begins with the indigenous people. What I will say is this. I'm getting clear to this. Certain people of nationality, and I can go as deep as, some people may say what people are represented galactically or spiritually and so forth. Some people, how am I supposed to say this? Some people, their hearts, when I look at how people are not empathetic, I'm realizing like if I had to look at them and see what they represent, their heart chakras are blocked. They're not an empathetic people, so they're gonna have to show you the corruption of their hearts. They're going to have to show you that. I mean, doesn't it speak about that? How people heart will turn cold, how they will go away and all that, and certain things that they will do all these other things. Yes, those plagues are just karma. Certain things that are plaguing people is karma, it's lesson. Throughout eons, throughout generations of ancestors. See, what's not told to you, I told y'all before, this is not the first time when you look at the humanity and experience that people have been, whether you want to call it mentally enslaved, chattel, certain stuff that represent it. It's not the first time. They just won't tell you that. They'll make you, the story, everything that has been twisted, it's going to be clarified. It's going to be cleared up. It's the age of Aquarius. There's a great deception, and even with deception comes clarity, comes truth. When you're talking about, y'all love to use an outdated term of slavery, but when you think about, what's the word? What is the word? Come on. What is that shit called? We're experiencing an exodus, but what is the word? Not genocide. What is that word that, it's something to where, I think that's the word, where you have seen, you would think that like what's been told of people pertaining to Jewish community and stuff like that, the story was told that of what had happened in other places, but it won't tell you what happened here, like what people have went through here, indigenous people here. For one, let me make this very clear. Let me clear this up. My father, his name, his surname, last name, you can research it. It's Hinkle, Hinkle. That is German descent. So I'm going to give y'all something to research. When you look at Count Sutton in the America, in North America, in North Carolina is what they call it. I didn't even realize at this time, Camp Sutton was the biggest military base before any other base. It was the biggest one. Okay, if you go research. It tells you that there were German soldiers, there were African, there were different soldiers that came in. My mother dated a man that was darker than me. A little darker than me. And I was like, why he going to Germany? He's German. So then you will see the connections to the character Hitler. And then you will start to get clarity on who he said original people were and who they to be and so forth. Now, the funny thing about all this, I tell myself, is that when I look at the people who are indigenous here and I look at what has migrated and has happened over time, I was like, at the time I didn't even realize like how even certain parts, if you don't know, people who probably watch this and who from my hometown or whatever, if you go up to, is it Matthews or Indian Trail, you will see sightings or things where they talk about the Korean War, I believe, or wars of people who come from other countries. That's why you have people with chinky eyes that are darker. Like this. It's easy for me to do that. That's why certain people in my family are darker. Because I know they have to have some type of, whether you want to call it, some type of indigenous connection to Africa. There are some people in my family, hair is real long and straight and thick. Because the reason I'm expressing to y'all about this is that the body keeps a score, and when you're telling me to forget about my indigenous roots, my ancestry, and so forth, it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. I am those people. That's what makes me so unique and amazing. And with that, that's why when I see people, like some of my tattoos represent things that have symbolism that are empowering. That's why so many things are being exposed. But y'all gotta realize how a lot of things have been orchestrated is that you have this group, you have this people, and all this other stuff. They divide themselves. They call themselves natives. They call themselves Hebrew. They call all these different things where y'all don't realize it's a source to the creators. What is it about at the end of the day? Is it about love? Is it about integrity? Is it about authenticity? What is it about? Because all of the people, when I look at it, they're performing. I've been to powwows, and when I go in certain places, you have people try to denounce or won't even be acceptable to people that are darker who claim indigenous roots, indigenous culture, who too, whether people who call themselves, whatever it is that you're trying to proclaim, the divine mother, the feminine archetype, is going to show you the connection that we all have, and also is going to reveal who and what connects and who have always been connected to the land. And the reason why this is so vital is because what's so beautiful about this is that they are always the seers or the people who come along who have the solutions, who have the connections. This is why you can't fucking you can't destroy divinity. You can't destroy, or no matter how many you try to remove, no matter what has happened, there will always be something or someone through divine intervention that comes along to give humanity, to give the different hues of people, because hues are like the colors of their different hues. They will give you insight and move the fuck on and move on unapologetically. Because there are people who are governed by things beyond your superficial shit. And they will always be taken care of and be protected until their mission is complete. That's what destiny is. But the powers that ain't used to be will make it seem like they decided your fate or destiny for you. No. It was predestined. That's what destiny is. It's written. It was predestined for you, for a lot of you to come here, to break generational chains and cycles, to do it in an uproar, to do it unapologetically, to tell people off, to let them know you're unfuckable, to let them know this ain't that. To let them know we're not living in your generation or your timeline or your world anymore. This ain't that. That's that energy. That's that phoenix rising. So again, to my people, like, it will show you full circle how powerful fear has kept people. Again, the root chakra. The people that have not said nothing, the people who choose not to, no matter their status and so forth, they are just as fearful. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Their fears, their subconscious fears are coming up too. I don't care what sports, I don't care what leadership, I don't care what they're governed by, I don't care about no covenant. Divine, I don't care about none of that shit. Their fear of an energy, a person, a people, or something coming up that they cannot control, that they cannot tame, that they cannot put in a chokehold, that they cannot pay off, that they cannot give anything materialistically, that they cannot manipulate energetically. And this is where their time is up. They know that. You know that. It's like people in your life, they know their time is up there. That's why they'll reveal every manipulative tactic. That's why they reveal everything to try to instill that fucking fear in your ass again, to keep you at some type of lower state, to keep you from progressing, to try to clip your wings so that you don't get on the plane, a different plane, and propel and fly the fuck up out of there. so that you don't liberate yourself? Do you know as soon as you take the step, as soon as you move away, do you not know you literally just broke a generational pattern? And even sometimes you may find yourself reverting or, going back into something similar. Boy, your soul, sis, your soul, your essence is still going to be like, ancestors that shit going to keep getting louder. 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 I keep telling you, the call came from inside the house. The call. It didn't come from out there. I keep telling y'all, ain't nothing a mother can do. If this message gonna be delivered, if it's meant for me, if it's meant for you to be the first millionaire or whatever it is, let it be through authenticity. Let it be through integrity. Let it be through in a way that you don't do the same shit that your mom and father did. If it meant for you to have the healthy connection with yourself and have a healthy bond and connection with other people because you didn't grow up in it, let it be through something with integrity, authenticity. Let it, and that's okay. If it's meant for you this lifetime, sis, to not be with nobody, to be in a union with yourself and so forth, and you content with that and you accept that, bravo. Hey, I wish you well in all your endeavors. Go live it. Because don't nobody know the depths of what you went through with men and on women. Don't nobody know the depths. There's no difference in people going away from spirit, religion or whatever it is. If you want to reconnect with your ancestry and so forth and then learn and having to go through and navigate things and you realize, like, you know what, that one for me, I had to experience that and so forth, that don't resonate. And then you want to go be a nomad, go ahead. Go right ahead. Because the only people and the only energy forces at play will tell you any different is those who are trying to keep you little, keep you small, or keep you from progressing, keep your lineage from progressing, and so forth. I'm telling you stuff where there's people in my family that's never at all touched the same soil, did the certain things, or whatever it is that I've done. They've done great things, they're great at what they do, but this ain't that. And let that be an inspiration, let that be encouraging to you. You don't have to do what they do. You don't have to be little people. You don't have to boast about what you have. You don't have to do it their way. You can do it through your own unique way. You might have had that cousin or sister or somebody, oh, I got that new car. You know, they want to boast and show it. But your way can just simply just showing up. It's just a car. I'm grateful. I'm excited that I got here. It's just a car though. I can't take this shit with me. It ain't no U-Haul behind the hearse. So finishing off this airport analogy, some of y'all, again, breaking your generational cycles is literally like the best version of you, or the version of you. In order for you to get there, you got to get through the version and accept the versions that you've hated over time. How is she going to get to that lifestyle? And then experience it without having to question anything. How is she going to get through it? And the beauty of this airport analogy, again, sometimes the divine wants you to go on that certain, whether it's Spirit Airlines or whatever it is for the experience, but you sometimes there's a faded connection there. You meet this person while you're on a plane. You just got out of a whole connection that you didn't even feel like you felt like all hope was lost. You didn't even realize like that you can experience a love not only, unimaginable to to yourself almost. You didn't even feel like you sometimes, with healing you can feel like this shit was in vain. Like, man, oh my gosh. But then you get to a place where I'm not even expecting nothing, but then boom. You thought you was done with love, or you thought you was done with experiencing life and so forth, and boom, you meet someone. It can be on a plane, or it can be as soon as you get to where you're going. For your evolution, for your growth, and so forth. Now, some of us, afraid to board a plane because of the fear of what? Creating fears, creating shit that ain't even real. Anxiety around, well, I'm this far up in the sky, or I don't know, be able to go this way, but you know what I'm saying? What about the money? What about this? What about that? Da 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 da. Whole time, your purpose and your destiny is to go to this place for you to be restored with a sense of fucking sanity and peace, a sense of clarity that you couldn't get when you was in that relationship, a sense of clarity that you couldn't get in that country because how heavy the energy was, the depression. Do y'all not realize like how you're not just fighting, you're not even fighting a battle, you're not just going through what you're going through personally. The collective energy, when you look at the dynamics of what a country is experiencing, that can become very heavy. That's not talked about in spirituality. Because everybody wants to feel like they got to give you the answer. Everybody feel like a lot of these fake ass people, they live in fear too. Spiritual community, a lot of them is just as fake. They live in spirit. Oh my gosh, I gotta talk about this too. They're living in their lower chakra too still. They can be spiritual. Y'all gotta realize there's no difference in people who are artists and sing and sports, and then they are spiritual too. They have things that they connect to as well. They do things ritualistically. You just don't see it. But that doesn't mean that as the climate and economic shifts, because again, I tell you, it's like the world is going through chakra updates. And most importantly, when you look at countries, oh, this is amazing, I'm getting this clarity too. When you look at environments and economically, when you look at the economics of things, I look at it from a spiritual perspective that everything that's rooted in fear, survival, safety, and so forth, I look at that as a representation of the root chakra. And when you look at the root chakra of this country, man, anybody that studied like Reiki and all that shit and studied the chakras, you know, it's so much stagnant energy. It's so much energy that has been, that's why I say a certain people of humanity represent certain chakras. That's why also certain seers or people who, seers or people who prophetic, chiefs or chiefess, they will prophesy or they will describe certain people of ethnicities or nationalities or shade of people as elements. They will see indigenous people, darker shaded people as water element. And that's why you see certain shit in movies, boy. That's a whole nother topic. I told y'all, like, people of lighter shade, they represent, they call it, I'm using the term white. They call them the white race or Europeans or whatever, Siberian, whatever you want to call it. They represent fire. And I think they say yellow people would be described as Asians. They represent the air element. And then what was the other one? It was 4 because somebody represented the earth. Somebody represented the earth. I guess it's like, did they say orange? What was the other color? It's another color. They just basically describe the different shades of people. They say yellow. I believe it was orange. Oh yeah, they describe black people as the red people. And then the lighter shade people, they call them white people, like they represent, a certain element. And the reason why this was so important, it was showing the balance in the universe. So again, if you look at people and look at who has abused their power, and then who connects to what. So when you see like a China, their advancement in technology, that is a air element. That's like the Aquarius element. That's like technology and so forth. Now their judgment is coming because a lot of what they've done, their advancement, they abuse their power to their leadership as well. They didn't think I was like the divine was coming to. I was like they think I was coming from. But yeah, I posted tell you like their judgment has come because they have had a lot of their hand in also the dehumanization, the also, is it declassification or the devaluing in also indigenous people, because they've also people may use the term whitewash, but they also have hidden a lot of knowledge from indigenous people, even in their own country, but also to the world. People who are like, it's funny because I got a shirt that's like a samurai, and it's made like, they call it the black samurai, but that what some people call the Afro-Asiatic, or the people who had hair like this, who eyes were slanted and who were darker of different shades, have hidden that from society or from humanity. And that's why some of them, when you go visit places, they be acting like they so in awe. But sometimes I can't say all of them. I feel like they so in awe because it's been so long. But then again, it's also been kept. And that's why you see certain leaders, and is it Russia? A lot of them that are displaying the dark Madonna, the origins of the feminine archetype and the masculine archetype, the original of things that, again, it's see, some people I've noticed in spirituality or spiritual, things, they love to throw shit out there in a barrage to make it seem like it's supposed to be deemed as people are a superior, or using it as a way of like dominance. And they don't realize, like, bro, it's you use it to try to abuse the power of making people feel like they're devalued, instead of learning to realize, like, outside of your ego, we've always lived amongst each other of different shades. This is still going to continue whether your ass alive or not. So, anywho, that's another corruption in even the spiritual community. You're going to see a decline in a lot of these people of all shades, especially of lighter shades, I've noticed too, who want to cast this illusion of light and love, or almost like regurgitate what they see just for monetary purposes. They want to regurgitate people's videos. They want to regurgitate. They don't. It's like, it's easy for an algorithm to regurgitate deception or have truths, or not even truth at all, because again, that's what society, that's what the norm has been. But as the Aquarian age begins to, the veil has already been lifted, more things will be exposed through the fact of who is who, almost like Transformers, like who's the fucking Decepticon and who's this and who's that, and who's actually trying to, it's almost like the ones who are trying to just make it seem like everything is all good is the ones you got to be careful for. And that right there is a spiritual warfare in that. And then even the ones that are darker, who a lot of these, what I pick up on the divines, like a lot of these masculine figures, no, not to use it as genders, but a lot of these patriarchal figures, a lot of men who are, as y'all will come to see, y'all use that term like an agent, Smith type shit, or agent, to where, you best believe like what's been funding them or who's been pushing them, they could just be almost like this false representation of a evolved version of another character. Let's say like they want to come off as a leader, but in reality, they still push division through using like the old world terms. Y'all gotta realize, like, a lot of black and white, I know people use it to push a narrative, but I also see the intentions behind it. The Divine's gonna expose more of that, like the intentions behind people who use it to just empower. And I get the intention about empowering people of indigenous or darker shade. But it's also how they ignore the fact of how the word has been used to divide. And that's something that, in the new order of things, you're going away from. Because when you look at the old narrative and the old things that were pushed, a lot of those terminologies, or a lot of those things don't even reflect the real meaning when you look at the etymology of it. So for people to still be using the word black and white in this context of like not really telling people the etymology or gatekeeping just for profitable aspects, that's what a representation of a false prophet, which is a representation of you're trying to profit and gain something, but it's like your fruit will still be exposed no matter who you are. At the same moment, your false profiting is still a representation of false empowerment. And that's just what it is. And again, I don't tell people to accept and subscribe and so forth. It's just be able to see clear who people is, who they support. And again, it's through lessons. People got to go through experience to come around and realize like what they're a part of, they no longer have to be a part of. It's just like a child bumping their head, going through discipline and realize like, to go away from certain things and so forth. But that's going to be another huge theme because a lot of, again, women behind them support them spiritually through their manipulative tactics, through their, stuff like that. Because you're going to see a lot of people, again, I see a lot of performance, bro. I see a lot of performance on how people show up. They still are so consumed by the ego will have them showing up like they have to look a certain way, or they have to live a certain way. They have to portray to their audience a certain way so that they could, performance will have people having to use like certain aesthetics or certain things and how this can look in the spiritual community, like how people will have a backdrop of something pertaining to something, namaste or something spiritual, certain shit that they will come off as, again, surface. They will come off as something, but this is that spiritual, almost like psychosis that you will see be very, at a time where, like you would say, fake it till you make it. There's no difference in what you see in people try to do in the spiritual community and so forth, who will try to clout chase, who try to fake spirituality. And it's only going to expose their lower nature. It's only going to expose the immaturity, the substance or the emotional intelligence that they lack, because they're still doing it just to reach a certain people. And it's the same thing with astrology, spiritualists. I see it all. It's the thing is, nothing can be hidden. The veil is lifted. And again, I see it with astrology. Again, a lot of regurgitation. It's the thing about what truth exposes, or what authenticity exposes, is that it doesn't look for claps. I don't look for an audience. I don't look for validation. It's to reveal and unveil the deception that can no longer continue for the elevation and the evolution of protecting not only ourselves, but our children. Y'all gotta realize, like, your children have access to this shit on social media and so forth. You got people around like they're just throwing out ritualistic shit, and then all of a sudden people doing it, and then those with, who have heightened gifts or are in tune can see like, this motherfucker, like, bro. We laugh at the same moment. Judgment is here. Y'all gotta realize, like, oh my God, I'm on 10%, so I'm about to finish this up. Judgment is here. And that judgment is the judgment of the heart. And what that does is, like, humanity is in judgment. Leadership. Everyone. No one's exempt. And the beauty of all of this is, like, the thing I reference is keeping your heart clean and keeping your hands clean is the importance of discernment. Things that you can no longer keep in yourself and you have to sit with yourself and be honest. That's a clearing and creating a bridge for those who come after you. Everyone don't prioritize that shit. Everybody don't care about that. And that's okay. So with that, things are just, again, this Lilith and Sag, and that's why I'm getting so much clarity. is that, again, I told you before, we went from the Lilith and Scorpio, which is the emotion, the internal. So what's going to be exposed now even more so is that you're going to see people telling themselves a lot more. And telling on themselves is really just what lies they told to themselves for so long, and what lies that they spill out, or that they can't hold on to. Because see, Lilith, that energy of that is like, that's why the opposition of, I tell you, the tug of war, and what's keeping you from learning in seeking higher knowledge or going within yourself and so forth, is that you're going to recognize how many people don't want truth. No matter, they don't want to live in their truth. They don't want to live out their destiny. They don't want to live in whatever that keeps them in a state of peace. They prefer everything but that. And that's going to, again, this transit is going to reveal that even more so, to what will liberate you. So people have to show you. There are going to be things like shit that's going to come out in people. You're going to be like, what you say? Or certain relationships where you're going to be like, this don't resonate, because as you elevate, as you go deep into yourself, you're going to realize, you know what, I've accepted this person. It's not that they're not for me. I just realized that I have learned myself a little bit more deeper. I want to grow. I want to experience things and so forth. And again, that transit with the Lilith and Scorpio, again, has shown people, like, revealed for a lot of us, the inner work that on all levels people have not done. And so with this Lilith and Sag, research it, it'll show even more so the opposition of people who don't, let's say, who are truths are going to be revealed, you know, on so many different levels with self, which will call you to travel, to relocate, to want to experience things, life completely different, and go away from what was familiar. Because what people don't face, I tell you, what people don't acknowledge will someday fight to be acknowledged. And it's just like a child, a child. It's like wanting to fight to feel seen or acknowledged and so forth. We have just tried to do that in an opposing way, instead of really get to know ourselves more deeper, to see how can we be more, aligned with that and so forth. So that's kind of like what I got to say right now, because I'm telling you, man, the exposure is going to be at an all-time high. Exposure is a great thing. Like, I had to learn through life, like, if I hadn't went through certain connections, relationships, like, how would I have known, like, certain things? How would I have known, like, I had to be exposed to me. I had to be exposed to my insecurities. That had to come out of me. I had to be exposed to certain parts of me that challenged my belief system, that challenged my growth, that challenged so many things. I had to do that. So connections, relationships will expose people only for you to realize, like, is this a distraction for me? Or is this, really aligning with me to support in whatever it is, endeavors, or whatever it is I want to go towards? So yeah, that's all I got to say. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.